Welcome to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is your podcast for all things hockey. On this podcast, we talk about past history to the modern day and what you can do to grow the sport. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. Welcome back to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is episode number 84, and I'm recording this on a Sunday. Given the fact that there are games on Sunday, and this will go out on Monday for all you listeners. So Matthew Tkachuk in Game 4 went absent for a little while in the later half of the game, or towards the end of the game, and he couldn't complete it when he was on the ice for the 6-on-5 and eventually 6-on-4 attack. So the Panthers lose this one 3-2, and it's not looking good for them. Now, then again, they came back 3-1 from Boston, but this to me feels a little different. I'm going to keep it real with you Panthers fans, because I don't want to see you disappointed, okay? I just don't. I want do I want the Panthers to win? Obviously, yes. I've been rooting for them since they got in, because they're so close because I live close to them, okay? They're the closest team I live to that's in the finals right now, and they're a 40-minute drive away from me. And no other NHL team is close to me as well. But to go through all of this, it's statistically, it's not impossible. It's just improbable to get back to to win the series. That's also improbable. But, the Stanley Cup's going to be in the Vegas Golden Knights house for Game 5, and they can certainly win it there, or maybe it's it rises in sunrise and for Game 6, maybe the Panthers will take it to Game 6. I'm still not sure. Game 4 was not a dagger to the heart, but it was disappointing. It was very disappointing because, there were certainly some opportunities for the Panthers to tie it. And, there was also an opportunity that Marchessault or Babashev could have taken a 4-0 lead, help give the Golden Knights a 4-0 lead in this game. And that didn't happen. Adin Hill was like a brick wall at the end, and they just couldn't get it on the 6-on-4, essentially 17-minute power play, and I know we have regulation for the and I quoted myself there if you didn't see that. We have that because we agreed that it's going to be a 60-minute game. But I do find this a little weird, though. Why is it that you issue a penalty? All the players have to sit for 2 minutes during, the middle of the game, but at the last, anything below 2 minutes, they essentially need to get it done. They essentially don't have to sit for 2 minutes. They just sit till the end of the game. And what if the Panthers did score on that power play too? Guess what? They go into overtime 5-on-5 too. So I think if there's any rule to criticize, maybe I guess you could say that. So Game 4, I think when you start the game 1-0 and you give up the first goal, it's bad momentum. It's not the end of the world at all, but they've come back from 1-0 deficits before in this playoffs, and I think, okay, it's not anything to worry about. Then you give up 2 more goals, and then you wait for it. Brandon Montour had probably the most interesting goal of the playoffs. Not entirely in my life, but it was certainly in this playoffs. So it hits one of the defenders. I forgot who. So it hits his left heel, then it goes off the right heel of another one, and then it gets past Aiden Hill, and then it's like, how do you do that? Sort of thing. And I don't think Aiden Hill could have possibly suspected that shot from Montour to just ricochet off 2 players. So 2 lucky bounces on that shot. 2, count them, on that for Montour. And then Alex Barkov would get his first goal of the series, and I think it was necessary. And I thought, okay, maybe they were going to build this back. Maybe we pull Bobrovsky again, and we get him, and we get to overtime, and we do our thing in overtime. It just didn't happen. And as a fan, I mean, this was very just disappointing. Power plays. So I mean, this was not actually, compared to most of the other games the Panthers have had, this wasn't like a power play heavy game. Of course there's always going to be the refs that just don't make the right call, or just make the wrong call, or just don't call anything, or they just call their mother for support or something. I don't know. But no one seems to agree on the officiating, because if the ref calls something for Florida, Golden Knights fans are like, duh, why did you call that? That's not a penalty. Jeez. But you have to take this in. You have to take this in just perspective. These, the refs are human. They need to be on the ice, and putting robot referees out there is probably going to be dangerous for the players and probably the fans, given the fact that metal could go through the glass as well. And so until we get something better, we'll need humans to break this up as well. We have that. Yeah. Aiden Hill stopped Verhaeghe. He stopped Reinhardt. He just had a lucky. I think Aiden Hill had a little bit of luck on his side, especially at the end. And this could have been, the puck sort of, was on his doorstep several times in the third period. It was at the last one. There was another one about midway through, and then I think was another one at about 6-minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. And guess what? They were on the doorstep. This could have gone to overtime easily, and maybe had the Panthers just gotten 2 of the 3 of those on the doorstep, they would have won. But that's hockey. It just comes out like that. This was the last Saturday game of the 2022-2023 season, and it was not anything that Florida fans wanted at all. The ending, the Panthers get into an entire brawl with the Golden Knights, and I still can't. And I don't know what's more disappointing, that or the fact that the fans were throwing stuff on the ice because they lost. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who threw the rats onto the ice, shame on you. There was no reason to do that. The only times you are are supposed to throw stuff on the ice is for one, a hat trick, two, a Gordie Howe hat trick, or your team wins something, something significant at least. And that's fair enough, or it's hat night or something as well. So you have to get a Gordie Howe hat trick, which is a goal, assist, and you get into a fist fight, and then you're probably kicked out at this point. In this era of hockey, at least, get a regular hat trick, 3 goals, and then there is that the team just goes on a significant winning streak, or they get the number 1 seed, or they win the Eastern Conference Finals or something. Fine. I'm open to that. But you don't throw stuff on the ice, especially after your team loses and your team gets into an entire brawl. Vegas Golden Knights can certainly draw the emotion out of the Florida Panthers. There is no doubt about that they're very good at that. So with Florida down 3-1 in the series, you're probably asking me, Adam, how do they come back from this? And if I had to put money on this, they don't. I'm sorry, I don't see them doing that. Now, I'm still going to root for them. I'm still going to watch at least another game as well. And that's going to be the thing, too. The Miami Heat as well are sort of mirroring the Florida Panthers. They're mirroring each other on this as well. So there's that. Today's the 11th. On Monday night, the Miami Heat are going to be playing in Denver. And guess who can win that? Denver. So, and then guess who the Golden Knights are playing? And then guess what? Tuesday night, the Golden Knights are playing the Panthers, and they can win it too. So, you know what? If that happens, it's sort of like a mirror image of each other. I think the only difference is that, like, if you're out in like Wyoming or Montana and actually rooting for the Golden Knights and the Nuggets, you're probably thinking to yourself, let's see that happen. It's a little bit of a side note here. We can always see new teams. It's always nice to see a first-time team get their first Big Four championship, whether that's the Stanley Cup or the NBA Finals championship. It's always a good thing. And it was always going to be that way once the Golden Knights, fought off Dallas to get here, that there was going to be a first-time Stanley Cup winner. I have to hand it to you. Shout out to Vegas, by the way. Shout out to the Golden Knights. And now they have me thinking. The Seattle Supersonics, it took them 12 years to win a championship in their respective city. I think if we're starting at the origins at it, I guess the New York, it was either the Boston Red Sox or the New York Giants or something. Like, I guess we're not counting those teams that started in the league, but I'm talking expansion teams. It takes quite a while too. It took Seattle 12 years to win that championship, and then the Supersonics, of course, left, and then the Seahawks came in, and it took them a while to get in and win a respective championship for them, and they almost won it 2 times in a row. And this is hard too. The Phoenix Suns never won it. In terms of expansion teams, I guess the Diamondbacks won it over there, and the Marlins, it took them 4 years to do it because the Braves just couldn't figure it out in '97. But and even though I'm getting sort of a little bit expansive on here, I'll bring it back to the Panthers. The Panthers are an expansion team. They have a long way to go after, of what St. Louis has done in their nearly 50. It took them nearly 52 years to win that respective championship, or 51, 52 years. That's how long it took for the St. Louis Blues. The Washington Capitals, it took them a little less, but it still took them about 44 years to win that championship. And to top it off, the Flyers, it took them a little while to get going as well. The Penguins went 20 plus years. I think it was, they went like 24. They went 24 years without winning one, and I guess now it's 27, and it's going to be 28 years next season when the Panthers come in and go without one, assuming they don't pull off the miracle win. But yeah, it is an underdog story, but even the underdogs can lose sometimes. I mean, Rocky lost in the first movie. Luke Skywalker didn't do it in The Empire Strikes Back, and then sometimes teams like the New York Jets beat the Colts, and it can be either or too. I mean, you give it your all sometimes, and even the underdog can lose, and you have to have those major upsets to really appreciate yourself as a fan. Boston had to go through it. New York has certainly gone through it over the past decade. They certainly have done it. New Jersey didn't exactly have any. I mean, New Jersey sort of did with the Devils as well. The Colorado Avalanche didn't. I don't think they. I mean, they had some bad seasons, but they didn't have it. I don't really remember them having a really big loss. Maybe if you want to count the Red Wings of the late '90s, we'll count that as well. So I guess those were their big losses as well. But most teams are going to have those disappointing years. They're going to have those upsetting losses. I mean, even the Yankees, in 2004 were up 3-0 in the series in the pennant against the Red Sox, and they just collapsed. The Panthers. This could have been a 2-2 series. It could have been 3-1 in the other way, and if they didn't have their emotions get the better of them, this could have been a sweep for the Panthers. It really could have been. But I do think Paul Maurice was right to say to just relax. The only problem with that is that the Panthers did not heed his word, and they let their emotions get the better of them for several games. I really am a bit disappointed. I wanted to see them win the Stanley Cup, and just be in an area where I saw a team, do it again, and to grow up a Washington Capitals fans, and to deal with the disappointment of losing to Crosby every year. It was a tough pill. It was always a tough pill to swallow. Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Jordan Staal, Marc-Andre Fleury, Chris Letang, the guys coming in, and I guess Phil Kessel will count him too, because he's playing in this. The big bad Pittsburgh Penguins coming in to DC and just coming in there too. And 2009 was probably really my first introduction to seeing them disappointed, to what disappointment meant as a sports fan. And it's like, ugh, why? I mean, the Washington Capitals had to deal with so much. They had to go through so much in the 2010s. They had to go through so much as well. Ovi had to deal with some injuries. Backstrom had to deal with some injuries. Mike Green was good, and then he wasn't. And Joel Ward was there apparently for a little while. Holtby was their goalie. Semyon Varlamov was there, and then he went to the Islanders, where he is there now. Backstrom, Green, Semin was there for a while, and then he went to Carolina and dealt with some injuries, and then just no one heard from him in a little while. Holzik was there when I was just starting out playing hockey, and you go through but you go through this disappointment, Panthers fans. You go through this disappointment to appreciate your wins. The Panthers, remember, they were not supposed to be in this. Sidney Crosby just decided, either he decided not to play or Malkin decided just to not do it. They either decided to just give pizzas up the middle of the ice or something, just so Chicago could beat them 5-2, and they could just bend over and lose to Columbus. And I don't think you squandered this opportunity at all. I think you played excellent hockey up to this point. And I think you still could have done better and just not let the emotions get the better of you, but you can't let the testosterone and the pre-workouts get to you. You can't do that. And if you're in a tight situation, just walk away. Walk away. I mean, you don't need to risk. I get it. You want to stand up for your guy, and fighting's fun. But still, I mean, you better be taking someone else to the penalty box with you on the Golden Knights if you're going to do it, and at least let it be 4-on-4. You have taken, and the Panthers have taken stupid penalties, okay, in game 3, and the game should have been more of a wider spread, and it shouldn't have gone to overtime. Now the Panthers seem to dominate in overtime, and it's not like we're going to get the probability of Lightning striking twice is astronomically low. And now imagine that a third time. I'm honestly just trying to put this into perspective here. I think it's not the end for the Panthers. And it's not over till the fat lady sings. And hopefully she sings in Vegas in Game 7 where the Panthers win. There's a prediction that's still, possible that it can happen, where it is, where Ryan Lomberg gets the overtime winner in Game 7 and Sergei Bobrovsky still wins the Conn Smythe. That is still possible at this point. Now you're probably asking yourself, if the Golden Knights win it, who gets it in that scenario? I see you give it to Adin Hill at this point, because the only reason there is no tie, or there is no or the Panthers just don't have that that the Panthers aren't leading the series is because of him. And the puck was on the doorstep 3 times in the third period, 3 times, and there were a lot of shots too, and it could have gone the other way. In game one, had certain things happened, but it was Adin Hill and his position that just kept the Panthers off the scoreboard for those durations or those shots after those shots, that the Golden Knights are where they are now. No, I don't think he's getting the Conn Smythe. I'm sorry. Personally, if it was up to him or giving Sergei Bobrovsky, the Conn Smythe, even after the Panthers lost, I'd still give it to Bobrovsky, but that, I guess it's more of a personal bias on me. This has been an interesting rant. I'm wearing a red Under Armour shirt, just to support the Panthers, and it's not an easy thing to do after this. It's just not. I really do want to see them win the Stanley Cup, but I'll just take my time. I'll be appreciative of whatever happens in any Big Four sport too, but Panthers fans, when the series ends, I don't think there's really anything to be disappointed about, because remember, they were not supposed to get to this point, and they only got in by the skin of their teeth because Pittsburgh didn't show up to play against Columbus or Chicago. And had they just walked away with with a simple win in either of those, you're not in. The Panthers aren't in. We're not in this yet, and Paul Maurice is probably fired, and the front office the rest of the front office is gone as well. And I guess the Panthers sort of look stupid with that Huberdeau trade as well. And then it's like, what? And then everyone would be talking like, what are you doing? How dare you trade Huberdeau? We won the President's Trophy last year. You fools. We had this in the bag, sort of thing. Like they would be saying that. They would absolutely be saying that. And I don't know who I'd be rooting for right now. If it was Carolina who got in, or maybe I would actually be rooting for the Golden Knights, depending on who came out of the Eastern Conference. It's just, hockey's a weird sport, and remember, this is the hardest sport there is in the world, honestly, because you're skating on a third of an inch blade, trying to handle the puck and trying to avoid being hit and trying to check the other players. And if you're the goalie, you have to be you have to be more flexible than cheerleaders and yoga instructors. And you need to react to 90-mile-an-hour slap shots or 95-mile-an-hour slap shots, with pucks coming at you, about as fast as a Major League Baseball pitcher. And you have to block that. You can't, and it's not, and in baseball, they throw the ball towards your glove. You give them that target. That's more intentional, but but your opposition is trying to get something past you too, and that's much harder to deal with when they're trying to avoid you as a target. So just put that into perspective. Just put it into perspective. It's not the end of the world for me. It's fine. I've accepted I can accept reality, you know, and I tried not to have high hopes for the Panthers. And I think when they got to the finals, you think, the Cinderella story is going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe it doesn't, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but you should appreciate the bad times for as much as you do the good times, because it's just part of being a sports fan. There's always gonna be disappointment with this, with your sports team. I mean, Boston just lost. The Celtics lost Game 7, and the Bruins lost Game 7 in the same building. Okay, and I don't, and they just could not hold off, the South Florida teams. Okay, getting past the dominant city of Boston is always a good thing in my mind. Of course, it's always a good thing. And this has been a very long rant, so I'm going to finish up here. So if you like me ranting, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, turn on the bell, post notifications on, hit that like button, share button, comment, and let me know what you think. Back on the Apple podcast, please write me a review, 5 stars if you think it's worth it. And with that being said, I hope you got something out of this episode. Take care.